watchers, welcome down to World's End. Today we have an exciting show for you. Today is World Seabird Day, but even more exciting than that, we're looking at 2 humpback whales who are passing by Stony Point. So I could not be more excited. Please send us in your comments and questions on our website or by scanning the QR code that you can see on the side of your screen. We want to chat to you today. We want to hear your stories. And we're quickly going to move away from those whales just so that we can say hello. So never mind, we're not moving away. You don't need to see my face. Whales are much prettier and much more important than I am. So excited to be down here today. It is a stormy day, but we've got a gap in the rain. And we've got 2 stunning humpback whales who are moving past us. They're moving towards the west, which is what we keep seeing here, which is super fascinating to me. And Igor says he can quickly give you a view of me. Hi, my name is Jax. I'm going to be a naturalist down here today. Igor is behind the camera, and today we are whale watching. So let's go have a look at the sea and have a look and see if we can spot those whales once again. In the deep, we also have what I think is thousands of sooty thousands of sooty shearwaters. There we go, there's the whale. Oh, there's 2. So these whales are nice and shallow now. Do you see them? Okay, so that pointy rock, the mermaid rock, go straight up from there. Deborah, every show with the whale, every day with the whale. Oh, there they are. Did you see them? Okay. All the time that we spend with whales is truly magical. So very, very excited. These whales were a little bit active earlier on. They've now just returned to traveling. There we go, up again. But we're just going to keep our eyes on them as long as we can to see what they get up to. So we weren't going to shoot at World's End. We were at Hideaway and then we saw the whales, and I think we all know that's where my heart is. So we ran down here to World's End. There we go, there's the blow. Let's go have a look at the weather forecast to see what they say for today. So there's a chance that we might get rained out today, but running in the rain is worth the sight of humpback whales. It's lovely to have them so close to shore, but they're likely in about 50 meters of water where they are. So here at Betty's Bay, we have quite a quick drop off to 50 meters, which is not typical of the Overberg coastline. But the Overberg coastline is a very shallow coastline. Most of our bays are only about 50 meters in depth. And we have a mystery on our hands, Penguin Beaches, because all of these whales are supposed to be heading towards the east. And yet every single sighting of humpback whales we've had down here, of which there's been I think 5 or 6 now, all the whales are heading west, which is very fascinating to me. And in South Africa we have, or we believed that we had 2 distinct populations of humpback whales. We had one that went up the east coast, which is where we are, towards Mozambique and Madagascar, and the other towards Angola and Gabon on the west coast.
Hi, I am David. I come to you live from the Mana Triangle, all the way from Kenya.
This is not a postcard. This is real. Sunrise in the beautiful Masai Mara.
time to put your feet up after a long week. WildEarth invites you to unwind with a weekend at the Waterhole, our life source of the bush, home to so much joy and danger. Join us on the 9th and 10th of July to get your wildlife refill broadcasted to you live all weekend at the Waterhole.
So the whales are up again. We had one whale take a deeper dive, so it showed us its tail. And when fatty whales like humpback whales and blue whales want to take a dive, they've got to lift that tail to just help them get down. John, awesome questions. So the average weight of a humpback whale is about 40 tons. So they get to a size of around 14, 15 meters in length. And if you have your own whale books at home, you'll find that if you're reading, they're saying that the whales get 17 meters, whales are up again. But whales are not getting quite as big as what they used to. Baleen whales are getting smaller. They're not reaching the sizes they once did. So the average size in South Africa gets to about 14, 15 meters. They weigh in at 40 tons. And they are the second largest babies that we have here. Our southern right whales get to around the same length, but they are fatty. So they weigh about 60 tons. Oh, there we go, up again. Have you got them, Igor? Amazing. Yeah. So it's amazing. So Igor's saying these whales are a bit tricky to track, and I'm used to working out at sea, so you get used to filming animals out at sea and photographing them out at sea. But if you haven't done it, it takes quite a while to get into, and Jason and I have spoken about it. Up again. And you'll hear when we whale watch, I think I said it the other day, I'm always telling you when the whales are up, and that's a reflex. I can't even help it anymore, because it just allows whoever is on a camera to know that the whales are up, and it allows those with cameras to get photographs. Up again. So we have two humpback whales here, and they are traveling together. So this is not a husband and wife humpback whale. For many years we believed that whales, particularly the baleen whales, the filter feeding whales, didn't have family groups or social ties. So we just thought that one or two whales would come together and travel together. There was a photo the other day from the sardine run with 11 humpback whales traveling together. Super impressive. I think that's a bit unusual. But there are studies being done at the moment by Happy Whale, which is a citizen science organization, where they're trying to look at whether or not these whales have associations. So whales that they travel with for years and hang out with for years. There is really so much we don't know about them. It looks like they're heading out into deeper water, and the way that I know that because we've got a point. So we've got the Huncliffe Lighthouse, and the point extends out, and so the whales are going to try and navigate around the point. It's unlikely that they would just go into the bay for no reason. Sometimes they do. Most often when they're traveling, they will skirt around the points and be in deeper waters. Here we go, see the blow again. So where that seagull is, just above the seagull. That's the last time they came up. And I'm going to have to actually ask the whale scientists why our whales are heading west, because they should be going east. And in fact, there was something that came up yesterday on Facebook. There we go, up again. Sinak, so there's not really much reason for them to communicate with each other on the surface. What they would do is they would tail slap, so they would hit the water. They could also use their flippers to hit the water, or they might breach. But their ears are very low down on the head, so whales are only really listening below the water. And those sounds travel. The sound of a breaching whale or a tail slap can travel across an entire bay. And so above the water, I guess they would use their physical body to create noise, but they would only really be hearing it underneath the water. All of their vocalizations would be underneath the water because sound travels a lot further. And whales really only stick their heads out the water for two reasons. The one is if they're spy hopping, which is when they're having a look above the water, and the other is if they are lunge feeding at the surface.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the Wildebeest Migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose. WildEarth's weekend at the Waterhole is going to be epic, and we want to make sure that you are kitted out for the occasion. We've launched some wonderful merchandise just for you. Are you a dam cam lover? Find these and more on our website. So get your snacks ready, put your feet up, and join us for a weekend at the Waterhole.
So we're looking at the horizon now, and I'm really hoping that you can see tiny dark specks in your view. And those dark specks, I think, are thousands of sooty shearwaters, which is a pelagic seabird that I think we have feeding, and they look like bats, which is why I'm assuming they're sooty shearwaters. And you don't really see the other seabirds, the pelagic seabirds, gathering in such numbers here. Can you see them, Eagle?
Sort of. They're very, very small in the frame.
So they are super small, but because today is World Seabird Day, I thought we might see if we can get you a couple of views. So sooty shearwaters are the reason why you have Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. So that horror movie was written after thousands of these sooty shearwaters got a little bit disorientated and all flew into Monterey Bay. And you'll see with most of these seabirds, they are going to be very far out in deeper waters. I think there must be a ton of fish for them to be in such numbers. So I'm hoping that you can get just a bit of a view of them. And then what we will do is we will move closer to shore and see what else we might be able to find you and show you. Tyler, I want to say very talented. I can't really think of any birds. I think maybe the osprey, not even the osprey. An Egyptian goose might be considered both a sea and land bird, but you wouldn't get a, let me put it this way, you wouldn't get a pelagic seabird, a deep sea seabird that is also considered a land bird. So I think birds that access the land and the ocean, the best term, the whales are up again, the best term would be the shorebirds. I would say shorebird would be the best, most accurate term to describe birds that enjoy the shoreline but also the ocean. And you can see we've got massive waves crashing in today. The swell was over 4 meters this morning. And did we get the rainbow? We also have a little rainbow that is forming. You can see we've got a big cloud bank that is coming in and hoping to get us all nice and wet. Humpback whales and rainbows make everything better. It's a wonderful start to our show today. And
The iconic Masai Mara in Kenya is a boundless wilderness bursting with life. Every year, more than 1 million animals stream onto the plains, and this year, WildEarth will be there for Africa's great Wildebeest Migration. This astonishing spectacle will feature in Safari Live twice a day, allowing you to travel instantaneously to this natural wonderland. Join us in August for some migration madness. Here on WildEarth, we love it when you interact with our guides while they are live. In order to do this, you must head over to wildearth.tv/questions and submit your questions, comments, and suggestions. Simple as that. And to make it even simpler, from time to time, you will see a QR code on your screen. Open your camera phone and scan this code, and it will take you straight to where you need to be. We look forward to answering your questions on this channel.
do you have him?
I think so.
Okay, so very lucky. It looks like,
Kind of like a kelp gull.
yes, so it looks like we have an albatross on the show for you today. I've lost the albatross now. Okay, I'm just gonna see. Oh, yes, we have an albatross on the show for you today. Super exciting. Happy World Seabird Day, everyone. I think this is a shy albatross. I can't see his face. There should be more there, and we've also got those sooty shearwaters in droves. It's so excited to be able to show you a shy albatross on World Seabird Day. The shy albatross is the one that we most commonly see along our coastline, or very close to shore, I'd rather say. But so I also see the yellow-nosed albatross every now and then. Sounds like everybody's having a fun time today, so that makes me super happy. There might actually be another albatross sitting on the water. So albatross and kelp gull look fairly similar. You got to watch them glide to really see the difference, and sometimes we can get mistaken, even the most experienced birder. And that's why I love a stormy sea, because that stormy sea brings in your albatross, it brings in your pelagic seabirds, your sooty shearwaters. And I do find, with no scientific basis, I often see an albatross and a humpback whale together. I don't think that there's any symbiosis there. Because albatross like to steal fish, and humpback whales don't eat very large fish. So I think maybe they just occur in the same regions. Nikki, so we actually have no albatross that breed in South Africa. They breed on an island called Marion Island, which is part of the South African islands, but all seabirds in South Africa are protected, so it is quite incredible. We are going to have some people on the boardwalk right now, so you might have just a bit of a shake. But in South Africa, we have the Seal and Seabird Act, in which all seabirds are a protected species, so you're not allowed to capture them, you're not allowed to do anything to them without permits and permission. So South Africa has been really incredible about that and protecting our seabirds. And in South Africa, BirdLife has also managed to reduce albatross death by 95% by scaring them away from boats, because albatross like to scavenge from boats, and so they'll follow a boat, and they used to get stuck on the lines. But because scientists came up with ideas to scare the birds off the lines, they really have done some incredible seabird work down here in South Africa. And it's actually work that they want to do and implement all over the world after having seen the success we have here.
The Masai Mara in Kenya, a remote landscape where wilderness reigns. Its inspirational beauty captivates the hearts of many around the world. This year, from August, WildEarth is leading a number of unique expeditions to follow Africa's greatest wildebeest migration here in the Masai Mara. And now, the remaining places have been discounted by 20%. Head over to our website to find out. We want to make it even easier for you to interact with our guides whilst watching WildEarth. When you see a QR code like this pop up on your screen, then open your phone camera, point it at the code, and you will be taken directly to our question page. Simple as that. Then you can let us know what you want to see, ask questions, and much more.
I've had it before where I've been walking and a waterbuck's jumped out of the grass. It's quite a frightening experience.
WildEarth, it's in your nature.
So Igor is going for gold today. He wants us to find Cape Gannets because we're seeing all these other awesome things. But I don't know if we'll see Cape Gannets today. Cape Gannets tend to, I find, feed on the fish that's a little bit closer inshore. And I was just saying to Igor, I find that they tend to feed with swift terns and more of your sort of local shorebirds. Although I have seen them feeding with pelagic birds, it's never quite in the same numbers. And what I think we might do is we might actually have a look at whale anatomy, because we've been meaning to do that and we just don't get to it. And I was very disappointed because I'd gone into 2 bookstores and there were no books about whales for children. So I was getting quite sad about it. And then I went into a 3rd bookstore and I just found the most incredible book that has like all the tail identification and like whale evolution and all the cool things. So I was very excited to find this book. And I will not be giving it to my 5-year-old niece. It's mine to keep because I just love the illustrations in it. And I'll just have Igor come towards me and we're going to show you the humpback whale skeleton. And the humpback whale is the skeleton right at the top here. It's a bit windy today, so I'm going to hold the page there. And the reason why it's called a humpback whale is because just below the dorsal fin, they've got a little bit of a fat hump. So very, very descriptive name. All whale names tend to be quite descriptive. And humpback whales are unique at having the longest flippers of any whale in the world. So most whales have very short stubby flippers, but humpback whales can have flippers 1/3 of their body length. So their flippers can be 5 meters in length, and you can see that long, beautiful flipper there. So they are the beauty queens of the whale world. And on this illustration, you can really beautifully see the 2 hip bones of the whale too, which I really enjoy. In my last one, I didn't have the hip bones, but that is from when whales were once land animals. Amy, a truly fantastic question. One to which I do not have the answer. So I'm going to go have a look and we're going to answer that on the show tomorrow. I think there must be a ton of muscles in there because there's not really anything else happening in that tail. They have no bones and their tails are really powerful. So I'm actually quite interested to see. I don't know if there's maybe more muscles in the attachment towards the tail and then in the tail itself less. But I'm going to go have a look at that and see if I can find that. So thank you so much for that question. That's a really good one. I'm going to go into the book and just show you something about the whales' tails. Because with the humpback whales, we use that to identify the individuals. And you can do that. You can be a citizen scientist. There we go. So what I wanted to show you is that humpback whales all have unique tails, and you can see here that every tail has different markings. So some have completely white tails, others have completely dark tails. Most of them have a combination of the two. And the white is sometimes the color of the body, and sometimes the white is barnacle scarring. And if you take a photo of that, you can put that up onto Happy Whale, and then they match these whale tails all over the world. They've had matches from Ireland to the Cabo Verde Islands. They've had matches from South Africa to Brazil. So you can be a citizen scientist by just going on a whale watching trip and taking these photos. It's very easy to use these apps. And I think I'm going to pop the book away now, but I hope you enjoyed getting to see that. And as we see more whales, we'll definitely spend more time with this book because it is a lovely one, very beautifully illustrated. But let's go have a look and actually find some penguins for you on Penguin Beach, because we do have a promise that we will show you penguins every single day. Josh, so in the whale world, monogamy doesn't really exist. So whales, they have a very different mating strategy. So with humpback whales, what will happen is that the males will all compete to mate with a female. So every year it'll be different males competing to get a chance to be with the girl. But they don't have a mate per se. So they will mate, they will go through the action of making the baby, but then they're not going to interact with each other very much after that. So the dad won't travel with the mother for a very long time. He definitely isn't involved in raising the calf. He has his fun and then he disappears, and he wants to get as many females pregnant as possible. And female whales also want to get pregnant. They don't make the long migration to our waters to leave without having made a baby. So with the humpbacks, the males will compete to mate with the female, but I think it's likely that she'd mate with more than one male along the journey. So they'll have what we call a competitive pod. And in these competitive pods, the males will all kind of have a fight and they'll chase the female around. Often the females will actually try to use boats to get away from the males because they start to get a bit irritated with them. And then other whales like right whales, the females will mate with as many males as she possibly can because she wants to be pregnant. She wants to have a baby. And then I'd say in a lot of your dolphins and a lot of your toothed whales, the males would also compete to mate with the female, but they wouldn't have a partner per se. It's usually the males are the roamers in the whale world, so they roam around, they try to find different females. They will be involved in the social structure, especially in toothed whales, so they might help to protect the pod and scout fish for the pod. But something that's quite unique to humpback whale males is sometimes they will escort a female and her calf, so it won't be the dad, it's just a very kind, chivalrous gentleman who will escort the female and help to protect the calf as their own should they encounter anything dangerous like orcas. Because orcas are a whale, they are the largest of the dolphins. They also like to eat other whales. So I hope that has answered your questions about whales. I think we're also going to have a look in the book to see the albatross that we were looking at. It's so cool that we finally got that albatross on the show and on World Seabird Day. And seabirds are, of all the bird groups, a bird group that is really struggling quite a bit. So little things that we can do to help seabirds is use less plastic. You could also try to make sure that if you are eating fish that you use the sustainability websites in different countries. They've got different ones. In South Africa there's the SASSI list where you can see how fish is caught and if it's sustainably caught. And you could also donate to researchers and help them do the research that allows us to better protect seabirds by putting in better laws.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the Wildebeest Migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose. Here at WildEarth, we promised great monthly prizes for our explorers, and this month is no exception. If you join our club before the 10th of July, then you stand a chance to win a fabulous Safari Guide online course brought to you by Bushwise Field Guides. They specialize in accredited safari guide training with courses tailored for the African safari lodge industry. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer today and don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
I've not given poor Igor a chance to say a word today. Igor, is there anything you want to talk about? Anything you'd like to say on the show? Are you just having fun?
Yeah. Hi, WildEarth. Man of many words today. No, I'm so happy with the show so far. This is probably one of the best humpback sightings I've had from land, as well as my first albatross sighting. Super excited.
Haley, so all cormorants do have webbed feet, so all cormorants are either marine or river-based. And so all cormorants have these beautiful webbed feet. They've also got a little bit of a toe that they can use to scratch their bodies. But it's very interesting because cormorant species all evolved differently around the world, but they all evolved to have a very similar look, and we call that convergent evolution, where different animals evolved in the same way because it was the most helpful. Ooh, and I've just watched a Cape Cormorant family chase away a juvenile Cape Cormorant from the nesting area. It was very interesting. The juvenile cormorants are still hanging about in this area. It must be like the juvenile penguins, who are not quite as welcome in the breeding sites. Birds don't seem to take very kindly to juvenile birds. They seem to get very irritated. Igor.
I just noticed something. So if you look at the cormorant's feet, like if I'm going to struggle to explain this. If like a duck or another bird with webbed feet, webbing sticks out, like their toes stick out straight forward, it almost looks like these are webbed on the inside and they're not symmetrical. So each foot is not symmetrical. So the webbing is occurs on the inside of the foot. Why is that?
So let's have a look. I know that they use their feet to incubate their eggs, to my knowledge. So cormorants and gannets and boobies use their feet. So that would be my theory. Are you happy with that answer? Does that make sense with the question that you're asking?
Not really. It doesn't really explain why the feet would be webbed on the inside only and not the outside. The thought behind my question is really, if I were to web my feet like that, would I be able to swim faster? Is that a more efficient way to do it? Should I be modifying my diving fins?
I've never thought. When you say the inside, what are you talking top bottom, or are you talking about the?
So look at this. So look at the bird in frame at the moment. So basically, the middle toe is their outermost toe. So it's all webbed between the toes. I mean, between the legs, but to the inside of the legs. But they're not splaying outwards.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Okay, I understand what you're saying. And they do use their feet to propel them under the water. There must be a reason for that.
Hi, I am David. I come to you live from the Mana Triangle, all the way from Kenya.
This is not a postcard. This is real sunrise in the beautiful Masai Mara.
It's time to put your feet up after a long week. WildEarth invites you to unwind with a weekend at the Waterhole, our life source of the bush, home to so much joy and danger. Join us on the 9th and 10th of July to get your wildlife refill broadcasted to you live all weekend at the Waterhole.
I must say it's an amazing thing about Igor's questions, because Igor will always ask why something is either efficient or not efficient. He's always like, his brain always goes to like looking at the structure of something and trying to figure out like, is it the best way to do it or is it not? And my brain never asks that question about anatomy. Holly, so yes they do, but if they ever walk into the city, there's something wrong with the cormorant. So about a month ago now, Igor and I picked up, Igor says not a month, yes a month?
I don't have a sense of time.
Igor doesn't know. So Igor and I picked up a cormorant because we were leaving Stony Point and he's driving behind me and there was a cormorant walking on the road who had a broken wing. So if they are found inland, particularly a marine cormorant, it means that there's a problem with the bird, in which case your best bet would be to phone your local wildlife rescue. In South Africa you would phone Sandcob or Cape Nature in the Western Cape. And you would want to keep your eyes on the bird, try not to approach it, but wait until somebody can catch it, because they typically don't like to be very far inland. If a seabird can fly, it's going to be okay. But sometimes they do get things like bird flu that will disorientate them and leave them unable to actually get back to the sea, in which case you would want them to go into rehab and just make sure that the bird's fine before they re-release them, or release them rather. Igor would like to film past me, and the way that I know that is that I've been very roughly manhandled. And I think you want to look at Cormorant Cove, is that the hope?
Yeah, I just want to get some cormorants on the rocks. Actually, let me show the amount of cormorants there are there.
So Igor wants to look at the amount of cormorants on the rocks, and whenever you look at Cormorant Cove, you'd always see that we have the watchtower, and that was a watchtower for the whaling station. So Stony Point used to be where they used to hunt whales. At the point where they started hunting whales here, they'd already hunted our humpback whales and our southern rights, so they'd caught Brutus whales and deeper species. So I always think that this is such a beautiful example of nature reclaiming, because now the cormorants have made this their home. And all whales are protected in South Africa. And so we just have remnants of this station. And we found out yesterday that they actually have some of these railway tracks from when they actually used to bring the whales up. So I'm going to go have a look for those, and I'd love to show it to you on the show. If you'd like, let us know. Do you enjoy history? If not, we can stop it. But if you'd like a little bit more history about the area, let me know, because I do love the history of this coast. And Igor is dying to say something.
WildEarth's weekend at the Waterhole is going to be epic, and we want to make sure that you are kitted out for the occasion. We've launched some wonderful merchandise just for you. Are you a dam cam lover? Find these and more on our website. So get your snacks ready, put your feet up, and join us for a weekend at the Waterhole.
We protect and reconnect nature across southern Africa. We bring countries together to care for wild spaces that stretch beyond borders. We protect and restore biodiversity. We prioritize the people living in these landscapes, enabling them to thrive in harmony with nature. We are restoring tomorrow.
So Igor was just trying out his marine biology skills. He says that he thinks of at least 7 cormorants who are sitting down here at Cormorant Cove. Arctic Circle? That's a very good question. I know that there's far more albatross in the southern hemisphere. I would say that the Chatham Islands and I would say like islands off New Zealand, they have just huge quantities of albatross and many different species. And yeah, your subantarctic islands, but I know that that's extremely broad, which that's where the albatross breed is essentially subantarctic islands. But let me go and have a look and I'll get back to you tomorrow. So we've got 2 unanswered questions. And I saw Moonbeam Smith and you were worried that we don't love you anymore. And I just want to say we definitely love you guys. We do miss you when you aren't watching our shows. I do wonder, I would say certainly, yeah, the islands south of New Zealand seem to have exceptional albatross and huge quantities. It's anywhere where you don't have very many people and you don't have predators on islands, because one of the biggest threats to albatross is actually rodents on islands, because they don't know how to react. They're not used to it, and so the little albatross actually get eaten by the mice. And so there's this awesome project called Mouse Free Marion, where they're trying to eradicate mice on Marion Island to help the albatross living there grow. And it's a project that's also been done on Gough Island and in fact many subantarctic islands, because seabirds are not used to humans, they're not used to predators, they just used to breed and get on with it. They didn't have to worry about these things until we arrived. But such incredible work being done on these projects. You can see all the seabirds that now live here at Stony Point have adapted to living around people. They've learned how to navigate us and manage being in the same space as us, so they're almost urban seabirds. And we had 2 unanswered questions yesterday that I keep forgetting to go back to, and one of them was Eagle's question about seashells and their twirling. And seashells can twirl to the left or the right, and it's not based on hemispheres. Even within a single shell, actually, sometimes they can twirl to the left or the right. And that twirling, it often goes through phases in history where many will either twirl left or twirl right, and the reason for that is that if you are a mating whelk and you twirl to the left but all your partners twirl to the right, you don't get to mate. And so apparently they were doing tests with amino acids. I don't know how they did this, I found it very complicated, but if they put a left-handed amino acid into a shell, it would twirl to the left, and a right-handed amino acid would turn to the right. So that's kind of the answer to your question, Igor. I will send you the scientific paper for you to have a read about it. And then the other was medicinal uses of seashells, the shell itself, which I thought was an interesting question. I didn't think we'd find much on that, but I actually did manage to find several things on seashells. So the one was an extract from the hard clam is used to inhibit certain types of cancers. So that was one that I found very interesting. And then I found one on oysters. I wrote it down. There was something to do with oyster shells, where they actually ground up the shell itself. So powdered oyster shells can help with, or this was used as something for acid indigestion, for fatigue and to stop hemorrhaging. But I didn't find too much in terms of sort of modern medicinal uses for shells. So I'm not sure that many shells are being used in modern day.
would like to be a part of the team that shares the Wildebeest Migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
So Igor was about to tell us something he found interesting on a project he was working on.
A while ago. So, talking about seashells and different kinds of uses for them, I actually learned that they are being used as a building material for more sustainable building methods. So they actually can, they grind up the shells, and that they can actually use them, the calcium carbonate in the shells, to create building blocks that actually absorb carbon out of the atmosphere, along with other materials, and they actually absorb carbon out of the atmosphere and they become stronger over time. They actually sort of self-mend and calcify cracks that form in those bricks.
That's very interesting, which reminds me of the other thing I read where they're actually using seashells to see if they can use it for wound healing. Yeah, so that's the other thing I was reading about this morning that I forgot, and you've just brought it up. So it seems like there are actually many uses for that calcium carbonate of seashells. So Igor's saying for building, and then it can also be used in wound healing. And this was actually a proper medicinal study where they were looking at using it to close off wounds. So very, very interesting. And I think that calcium carbonate, you know, seashells are really tough. So that's super fascinating. I think we need to have a look at an albatross in the bird book. I want to show you which one I think it is, so that you can say you tried to identify an albatross on World Seabird Day. And I'm just going to see where Igor wants me. So I believe we have the shy albatross here. And they're a really beautiful species of albatross. I don't think they're any shyer than other species, so I'm not entirely sure how they got that name. But you can see they've got the black wing tips, which we discussed yesterday, which helps the birds fly. Also having black on the top because the wing heats up very nicely at the top, which allows them to fly better. So their wingspan is about 2.1 meters, and the largest albatross has a 3.5 meter wingspan, the wandering albatross. And
Can you just show us how big that is?
I was wondering if you ever make me do that. So 3.5 meters, so a big step is supposed to be a meter. That's not even gonna, that's not gonna fit. I'd have to walk that way. So you're not gonna be able to get me. 1, 2, 3.5. So I don't think you can really get that. I think a camera would struggle to capture that. But it's an incredible wingspan. We'll have to do it one day when...
Lie on the floor so we can get a sense of how long it is in comparison to what... How tall are you?
I'm 167.
167, so that's more than double your body.
Yeah. It's pretty large. I think one day we'll try and do a show. I've thought about this, where we will get Igor to be far away, and then we can actually do like the size of a whale, the size of an albatross, the size of some of the animals that we watch. I think that would be a really cool thing to do in time. But I think we're going to take the camera off me, and we're going to spend our last little bit of time with our penguins, I think.
And coming up in first place and officially named Bilo is Heart's Cub.
WildEarth have really inspired me to return to South Africa after having followed so many beautiful characters. This Ticket to Dream has given me a great opportunity to meet the WildEarth team, which I thank. They're all amazing. I love all of the characters, but I do have a particular passion for leopards. It's a dream, and as I said before, I just keep on pinching myself. Am I really here?
So we've been looking at a nest where there's a very fluffy chick who's having a nap. So I think those parents must have relayed. And we only have about 10 minutes left, and then we're going to send you over to Liam and Chris. So I would say I can hardly see this chick, but I'd say probably a couple of weeks. I'm only seeing very fluffy down. I don't really have the size of the bird, but I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, which makes me think the parents did relay, because I think they had other chicks earlier on. So I don't know if the other chicks would have survived, but I might actually ask Gavin when we see him again. And I think we've had a fantastic time. Chris is hoping to find you some hyenas this afternoon in Impala clearing. So we'll have to see if he's successful in that. And Liam is just bumbling along, so he doesn't know what he's going to see. Definitely not cool humpback whales like we did, but hopefully he'll find you some wonderful animals. And I hope that you guys have had an awesome time with us. We are in the midst of our whale season, and whenever we see whales, I do promise we will try our very best to get them on the show for you all. And I am going to ask some of the whale researchers why they think our whales might be heading towards the west. I'm very interested. There was a whale that was seen in 2017 in Durban that was just seen, I think, yesterday in Namibia. So I'm starting to wonder if, because there's more food on the west coast, because the water is colder, if the whales are actually moving more closely on the west side, because they can go to a warm breeding ground and then find food a lot quicker than if they come on the east coast, if they're up on the east coast. I can't help but wonder if that might be something. I could be completely wrong. But over the last 10 or so years, we've started to see more and more humpback whales and southern right whales feeding off the coast of South Africa. So it could be environmental change that's caused that, or it could be the fact that we didn't know the whales would feed there until the numbers of whales have increased, and so they're exploiting an old feeding ground. We can't really say. But I will have a chat to the whale guys and see what they say. And science is happening every single day. That way, that cormorant has white on the wing as well. See that there? He's going to land. Aye. So earlier today, Igor and I saw an oyster catcher with white on the wing. And sometimes you find that darker seabirds have some funny colors in their wings. I think it's sometimes a recessive gene or something that might cause it. After a very busy show, it's nice to just slow it down and spend some time looking at the ocean, and our Cape cormorants are sitting right in front of us. We were going to do a poll today to see who's more dramatic, Igor or I. But I think we saw the whales and nothing else mattered. I think we might still have to do that poll tomorrow. Ashley, we really had an epic sighting. We got some amazing views of those whales traveling. Oh, there's a blow. So where this very dark rock is, up, not even to the left, just go straight up from that rock. So we might just be able to get you a nice view. It's very far, it's close to the horizon. We might get one more view of a whale if we're lucky. But this whale is in deeper water, and the deeper the water, the more time they spend under the water. That whale is so far out, we're not going to be able to get him, unfortunately. But there is always another day, and hopefully we'll have some more whales close to shore very soon. It's going to blow again. And if there's anything else that you guys would like to see in the coming week, please let Igor and I know, and we will try to make some plans. We've got some surprises hopefully coming up this week. You can let us know tomorrow if there's anything that you want us to look at. Should we have some last-minute penguin views, Igor? What do you think?
I think we could. I just want to see these waves break on the rocks like really dramatically.
Okay, Igor wants to show you the power of the Atlantic. Show you her in her full beauty. I love the sea on a calm day, but the Atlantic really is at her most breathtaking when she storms. It's almost time for us to say goodbye to you. On behalf of Igor and I, thank you so much for spending Sunday afternoon whale watching and seabird watching with us. I hope that you enjoy the rest of World Seabird Day. And we will be seeing you again tomorrow. So thank you again for watching. Thank you for your questions. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and have a lovely week. Thank you so much, Penguin Beaches.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.